My name is Akua, and if someone had told me that one day I would question everything I knew about my family, I would have laughed in their face. We were the perfect Christian family also, I thought. My parents are pastors. My dad leads one of the biggest churches in our town, and my mom, she's the kind of woman other women admire. Always graceful, always smiling, the perfect pastor's wife. Every morning started with devotion, every night ended with my father's deep baritone voice blessing us before bed. I used to brag about my family. Until the day my entire world cracked open. It all started innocently. My friend Gina works at a DNA testing lab. I'd gone to see her that day because, honestly, I was bored. I had just finished university, job hunting was frustrating, and I needed a break from the constant, "Don't worry, God's time is the best" speeches at home. We were laughing over snacks when she told me about a new DNA machine they had just gotten. "Akua, let me test you for fun," she said jokingly. I laughed. "Test me for what? You want to check if I'm human?" We both laughed. But then she added, "No, like, if you want, I can check paternity, just to see how accurate this new thing is. All I need is your dad's DNA. Maybe a hair sample." I don't even know what possessed me, but I agreed. I told her I'd bring a strand of my father's hair the next day. The next morning, while my dad was sleeping on the couch after morning devotion, I gently plucked a strand from his head. He didn't even stir. I felt mischievous, not guilty, not curious, just playful. When the results came out, Gina frowned. She looked confused, then checked the paper again. "Akua," she whispered, "something isn't right here." "What do you mean?" I laughed nervously. She swallowed hard. "The test says you're not biologically related to your father." I froze. "What? That's impossible. Maybe the hair got mixed up or contaminated or, let's do it again," she said quietly. We did. Not once, not twice, but 5 times. Each time, the same word stared back at me in bold, merciless letters: negative. By the 5th test, I was trembling. My throat was dry. My laughter had turned to silence. "Gina, maybe your lab is faulty," I whispered, trying to convince myself. She shook her head slowly. "I know what I'm doing, Akua. But to be sure, go to another lab. I'll send you to my friend. She runs her own facility." That night, I barely slept. I could hear my parents praying in the next room, my dad's deep voice calling out to God, my mom's gentle amen echoing after him. How could these same voices be hiding something? The next morning, I went to the other lab. I sat there in silence as they collected my sample and my father's. My heart was racing the whole time. I kept praying under my breath, "Lord, let it be a mistake. Please, let this be a mistake." But when the results came, the woman looked at me with pity. "I'm sorry, the test came out negative." That was when I screamed. Right there in the lab, I shouted, "No. This is a lie. My mom is not that kind of woman." I called my elder brother, Kwame, immediately. He's the calm one in the family, always the voice of reason. When I told him what had happened, he laughed. "Akua, stop listening to nonsense. How can you believe that? Dad is our father. Let's all do the test together and end this drama." That sounded like a good idea. I needed peace. I needed closure. So we decided, all 4 of us, the siblings, to do it. We took samples from each of us and sent them both to Gina's lab and to her friend's lab for separate results. The wait felt like years. Then one Wednesday afternoon, while my parents were out preaching, Gina called. Her voice was shaking. "Akua, all of you, the test came out negative again. None of you match your father." I dropped my phone. It felt like the ground opened and swallowed me. If you have watched to this point, where are you watching from? Don't forget to like and subscribe too, because what happened next nearly tore our entire family apart. We were all negative. All four of us. Meaning the man we had called Daddy all our lives was not our father. When my brother saw the results, something inside him snapped. He couldn't take it. That same evening, while our dad was at church for midweek service, he stormed into the house like a man possessed. I was in the living room when I heard him shouting, "Mom! How could you?" I rushed in and found him standing in front of her, his hands trembling, veins showing on his neck. "How could you cheat on Dad and lie to us for years? You call yourself a Christian, a pastor's wife. Mom, how could you?" My mother froze for a second, then suddenly, she dropped the spoon she was holding and just broke down. She didn't try to deny it. She didn't defend herself. She just cried. Her sobs filled the entire house. She was shaking uncontrollably, saying nothing, just crying as if her world had ended. I had to drag my brother out before he said something he would regret. The tension was too much. You could feel the air heavy with shame, anger, and confusion. Days turned into weeks. No one talked about it again. My mother acted like nothing had happened, cooking, cleaning, going to church, even leading prayers at the women's fellowship. It was almost as if she had sealed her emotions in a box and locked them away. My younger siblings didn't know anything. My father, too, or so we thought. But I noticed something strange. Every time my mom thought no one was looking, she would stop and stare at my father, her eyes filled with a kind of guilt I'd never seen before. I couldn't take it anymore. My heart was pounding so loudly I thought it would burst out of my chest. The air in the house felt heavy, too heavy. I walked straight to my mother's room, my hands shaking, my voice trembling. "Mom, what's going on?" I asked, trying to sound calm but failing miserably. She looked up from where she was folding clothes, her eyes soft but guarded. "What do you mean, Akua?" I told her everything. How it started as a joke, how Gina ran the test, how I took it to another lab, how all the results said the same thing, negative. As I spoke, I could feel my throat tightening. I expected her to interrupt, to laugh, to call it nonsense. But she didn't. She just stood there, silent. Her silence scared me more than any denial ever could. And then, the door creaked open. My father walked in. "Akua," his deep voice thundered, "what did I just hear you say?" I froze. He had heard everything. I turned, trembling, to face him. "Daddy, I didn't mean." "Say it," he barked. "Say it again." I swallowed hard, my lips quivering. "The test, they said I'm not your biological daughter." For a moment, there was silence, a terrifying, suffocating silence. Then, my father turned to my mother, his face red with anger. "How could you?" he shouted. "Was I not good enough? Where did I go wrong with you, woman? If you were not satisfied, you could have told me. You could have walked away. But this? For children." His words were knives cutting through the air. My mother fell to her knees, sobbing uncontrollably. "God knows I'm innocent," she cried. "God knows I never did such a thing. Why would I betray the man who gave me everything?" My father wasn't listening. He was pacing, shouting, throwing his hands in the air, as if trying to tear the truth out of the walls themselves. I stood there, frozen, tears rolling down my face, realizing the gravity of what I had done. If only I had known, if only I had never gone to that lab. If only I had never told my brother. If only I had let the sleeping dog lie. Now, the perfect family everyone admired was in ruins, and I was the one who started the fire. For the next 3 days, the house was a battlefield of silence. My father slept in the guest room. My mother barely ate. The weight of guilt crushed me. Where did I go wrong with you, woman? If you were not satisfied, you could have told me. You could have walked away. But this? For children. His words were knives cutting through the air. My mother fell to her knees, sobbing uncontrollably. God knows I'm innocent, she cried. God knows I never did such a thing. Why would I betray the man who gave me everything? My father wasn't listening. He was pacing, shouting, throwing his hands in the air, as if trying to tear the truth out of the walls themselves. I stood there, frozen, tears rolling down my face, realizing the gravity of what I had done. If only I had known, if only I had never gone to that lab. If only I had never told my brother. If only I had let the sleeping dog lie. Now, the perfect family everyone admired was in ruins, and I was the one who started the fire. For the next 3 days, the house was a battlefield of silence. My father slept in the guest room. My mother barely ate. The weight of guilt crushed me. Every prayer, every hymn, every sermon I heard reminded me of one thing: I destroyed my family. Then, on the third night, my mother came into my room. She was holding something, a small plastic bag with a few strands of her hair inside. Without saying a word, she threw it on my bed. "Here," she said, her voice cold and sharp. "Take this and run a DNA test on me too." I looked up at her, horrified. "Mom, no. Please, I don't want to do this anymore. I've already caused enough damage." Her lips curled into a bitter smile. "Oh, you've already dug a pit, Akua," she said quietly. "A pit bigger than you. You must finish what you started. Take it and get back to me with the results." She turned around and walked out, closing the door behind her. For the first time in my life, my mother didn't bless me before leaving my room. For the first time, her eyes held no warmth. Just pain, and something else. Something that looked like fear. That night, I couldn't sleep. Her words echoed in my mind. Like a haunting melody, "You must complete it." What if she was telling the truth? What if she had been falsely accused all along? Or worse, what if there was a secret even darker than I imagined, one she was forcing me to uncover? My parents barely spoke to each other anymore. The silence between them was so loud it could choke you. Even in church, where they once stood side by side like the perfect couple, I could feel the distance, the stolen glances, the forced smiles, the way my father avoided touching her hand when they prayed. Something had broken, and I knew I was the one who cracked it open. A week later, I couldn't take it anymore. I called Gina. My voice was shaking as I told her what my mom had said, her denial, her confusion, her tears. Gina sighed deeply on the phone. "Akua, maybe we should test it." My heart thudded in my chest. "You mean test my mom too?" "Yes," she replied softly. "Just to be sure. To clear every doubt." So I did it. I sent her the samples. My hands were trembling as I sealed the envelope, like I already knew the result would destroy what was left of my peace. 3 days later, my phone rang. It was Gina. Her voice was quieter than usual, hesitant, heavy. "Akua, I don't know if you really want to hear this." My heart dropped. "What do you mean?" "Gina, just tell me," I said, my throat tightening. She took a shaky breath. "Your mother came out negative." What does that mean?" I stammered, my voice trembling. Gina hesitated. Then she said the words that shattered my world. "Akua, it means you're not your mother's daughter." For a moment, I couldn't breathe. My ears started ringing. "The blood of Jesus!" I screamed, clutching my chest. "What do you mean I'm not my mother's daughter? Then who am I?" Gina sighed, her tone now distant, weary. "Akua, please. I think I've done enough. This is becoming too complicated." But I wasn't ready to stop. I begged her through tears, "Please, Gina, just test my siblings too. Please. I have to know the truth." She reluctantly agreed. A few days later, she called me again, her voice breaking. Akua, all your siblings came out negative too. My legs gave way. I sat on the floor, shaking, my phone slipping from my hand. It couldn't be true. It shouldn't be true. My parents, the people who raised us, loved us, prayed with us, were not our biological parents. I told my brother. For a long time, he didn't say a word. Then he whispered, "We need to call a family meeting." That evening, we gathered in the living room, the same room where we had grown up laughing and praying together. But this time, the air was thick with tension. When I finally dropped the news, saying, "Neither of you are our biological parents," silence swallowed the room. My mother's mouth fell open. She tried to speak, but no words came out. My father just sat there, eyes wide, face pale, as if the ground had just shifted beneath him. I looked from one to the other, my voice breaking. "If you're not our parents, then who is? Were we switched at birth? Stolen? Where do we even start from?" The only answer that came was silence, heavy, painful, suffocating silence. For a long time, nobody spoke. The only sound in the room was the faint hum of the ceiling fan spinning lazily above our heads. Then, suddenly, my mother stood up. Her legs were shaking. She pressed her palms against her chest, breathing heavily, tears rolling freely down her face. "Enough," she whispered. "I can't keep quiet anymore." My father turned sharply. "Grace, don't," but she cut him off, her voice trembling. "No, Daniel, they deserve to know the truth. For 25 years I've carried this burden. I can't breathe anymore." She sank slowly to her knees and began to sob. "My children, forgive me." "Mom, what are you talking about?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. She looked up at us, eyes swollen with tears. "You were never supposed to find out. I was trying to protect all of you." "Protect us from what?" my brother demanded, his fist clenched. Her next words felt like a dagger straight through my heart. "You are not our biological children because all our babies died at birth." The room exploded. "What?" I screamed. My siblings gasped in disbelief. My father covered his face with both hands, crying quietly. She continued, her voice breaking. "After the third miscarriage, the doctors said I could never carry a child again. I lost my mind. I couldn't face the shame. The church was already gossiping. People said I was cursed, barren. Then one nurse pitied me, made me an offer." We all leaned forward, too stunned to speak. She said there was a young woman who had just given birth and died during delivery. The father had disappeared. The babies had no one. She told me I could take them, start over, but no one would ever know. My mouth went dry. "So you took someone else's babies?" She nodded slowly, trembling. "Yes. I didn't know what else to do. I just wanted to be a mother. I wanted your father to be happy." "Jesus Christ," my brother muttered, pacing the room. "But that's only one of us," I said through tears. "There are 4 of us." She looked at my father, and that was when I saw the second secret in his eyes. "We bargained with the nurse. I would fake a baby bump for months, then she would give me a baby to take home." At that moment, the room became a sea of tears. My siblings and I broke down completely. Everything we believed, everything we knew, had just shattered. My father reached out, his voice trembling. "We may not share the same blood, but we raised you, loved you, and prayed for you. That's all that matters to us." But I couldn't speak. My whole body felt numb. How do you process finding out that your entire life was built on a lie? That the people who raised you weren't your parents, and your real parents might be out there, somewhere, nameless, faceless, forgotten. I don't know what to do right now. Do I start looking for my dad?